Hello, church family. Pastor Rick here, and this is Midweek Musings for this week. I haven't been sleeping well for a while, and especially during this crisis, my sleep schedule is very much interrupted. It seems that almost every morning, anytime between 2 and 3 a.m., I'm wide awake, and so I've been using this time to get up, have some devotions, do some reading. Well, the other day when I got up, just as I started to relax again, I felt something drop into my head and into my heart, and I think this is something from the Holy Spirit that I want to pass on to every one of us here at Columbus First Assembly. Things that we can do during this time. The first is this: if someone comes to mind, reach out. The second is, if something comes to mind, do it. Let me explain what I feel that this means. If a person comes to mind, someone from our CFA church family, a coworker, a neighbor, maybe a family member, reach out. First of all, reach out in prayer. Right then, when their name comes to mind, don't wait, because most of the time we think, I wonder why they came to mind. Well, I feel right now that what we need to do is to reach out through prayer immediately. But then as soon as you finish praying for this individual, reach out to them somehow. A text, a phone call, but something that is immediate. Let them know that they came to mind and that you prayed for them. You never know why God will drop a name into your heart and onto your mind. You don't know what they need at that time. Maybe they won't even understand what they need, but I know that they will appreciate the fact that you called and you reached out for them, and especially that you prayed for them. Then the second thing is, if something comes to mind, do it. This is a time where we can show the love of Jesus. We can serve one another, be devoted to one another. We can encourage one another. We can love our neighbors. So if something comes to mind, maybe you can think of an elderly person that needs to be checked in on, or to call and find out if you're going to the grocery store, if you could pick something up for them. Maybe somebody needs some work around their house, and you've been self-quarantined and you're at home and you have some time that you could do some raking. If something comes to mind, do it. See, one of the things is, let's trust that the Holy Spirit is speaking to us. Many of us, including myself, have prayed this prayer based on the story of when Samuel heard the Lord, and the prophet Eli said, if you hear that voice again, say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Well, many of us have prayed, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Well, if you're listening and you're hearing somebody's name, or you're hearing something to do, then act on it. We want the Lord to speak, and I believe He is speaking. And what a time for Him to speak to His children about the needs of other people. But if we want God to speak, and we want God to continue to speak to us, then we're going to have to act upon those impressions that He gives, because then He knows that we can be trusted. So if somebody comes to mind, reach out, pray, and then contact them. Very often we think, I don't know, this might be a bad time, it may be inconvenient, or they may be involved in something. Listen, if they're involved in something, they won't pick up the phone, or they won't immediately respond to the text. But it's very possible that they will, so reach out, pray, and then call, text, send some type of a notification that you're thinking about them. And then, if you think of something to do, then do it. Now, you may have to call the person and say, "Hey, I'm coming by your house in just a few minutes. Wondered if there's anything you need at the grocery store, or would you like to ride along?" Or you might say, "Hey, I've got some time on my hands, and I was wondering, I'd love to cut your grass. I'll load my lawnmower up and come by." They may refuse, but they may accept. And whether they accept or refuse, they will definitely appreciate it. Since I've gotten this impression, and I've been practicing this, there have been at least 4 or 5 individuals that came to mind, and I reached out to, either by text or by phone call, some by phone call, and every single one of them appreciated the fact that I called or sent them a text. One was our district superintendent, who, just like pastors, are carrying a weight of the churches. And he seemed to be so appreciative that I said, "I was praying for you just a few minutes ago. Just wanted to let you know I love you and appreciate the job that you're doing." And he immediately texted back and said how much he appreciated that. So that's my midweek musing for today. If someone comes to mind, reach out. If something comes to mind, do it. Let's trust that the Holy Spirit is speaking to us now, and then let's act upon the impressions that He is giving us. That's this week's Midweek Musings with Pastor Rick. I'll see you again on Sunday, only by a video, of course. And don't forget that we also have a prayer at 1 o'clock, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That's a live prayer on Facebook Live. Until next time, you have a blessed week. I'm praying for you.